What's up, everybody? Alex here. Welcome back to another video and welcome back to another thread response. This one for my buddy, Mark Morris. Here's what's funny. I was actually thinking about this when I first started doing YouTube videos back. I guess it was, 7-8 months ago or so. I never really did the threads much. I just, I was like, oh, it's just kind of like, I don't want to just jump on someone's idea just to say I made a video or, whatever sort of thing. Well, I've done a lot of these over the past couple weeks and I'm really enjoying them. I mean, you probably aren't, but I don't know. For me, it's like, yeah, they're fun ideas and some are better than others and all that kind of stuff. But I think for me, it's just like an opportunity to maybe show artists and records that I don't show in other videos. And I think that's kind of what I enjoy out of this whole stupid YouTube thing is just showing records and talking about records. And maybe there's some artists that people don't talk about enough. And so enough of that. Again, this thread response is for Mark Morris, who is one of my absolute favorite people on YouTube. Mark and I go way back a few months. He actually won a contest of mine. He won one of the gift cards I was giving away. He did some great videos about that. He just has the nicest, sweetest things to say about me that I always feel really flattered and uncomfortable in a good way. And he's just one of my favorite people. And I think low-key one of the funniest people, although I don't think people know it at first. But regardless, Mark started this thread because he doesn't sleep, apparently. And he wanted to say, what about songs or lyrics or albums or bands or whoever that talk about sleep or nightmares or dreaming or CPAP machines or all those different things. And so I've been putting this one off for a couple weeks, but I wanted to make sure I got my response into Mark and talk about, again, some bands, records that I love that I just don't think are talked about enough. So, coffee this morning. Let's dive into it. And we'll dive in, actually, I guess my first choice of the five is not necessarily cheating. It's my favorite band of all time. I show them enough. But their whole sort of band and aura is centered around the word dream. And of course, I'm talking about Dream Theater. And so you can go back to Dream Theater's very, very first record when Dream and Day unite. Obviously, you just have Dream in the name of the band, but then there's a ton of songs and records that have Dream in it. How about their second and really the one that put them on the map? Images and Words. The two songs here are Wait for Sleep, which was kind of a very unlike any Dream Theater song and still is kind of unlike any other Dream Theater song, kind of just beautiful piano based. It's really just Kevin Moore and James LaBrie rocking it, called Wait for Sleep. And then of course the big epic, one of my favorite compositions of all time, Metropolis Part 1, The Miracle and The Sleeper. We'll fast forward all the way up to 2009, the last album with Mike Portnoy. Of course, he just returned several months ago, and so a new album will be coming out. But this is Black Clouds and Silver Linings. I've always really loved that artwork in a number of different ways. And the song I'm going to talk about is what kicks off the track, the 16-minute and 10-second A Nightmare to Remember, that was written by John Petrucci, kind of highlighting a real-life story of him getting into a really brutal car accident when he was younger with his family. I mean, it was pretty touch and go, major injuries, people thought they were going to die, all those different things. And so, looking back for the Dream Theater fans, it's interesting. I think this has become one of the favorites of the Dream Theater canon, but it was also the first Dream Theater song to showcase, I think, Mike Portnoy's side of much heavier music. And so I think it's like still to this day the only Dream Theater song that features a blast beat and then Mike Portnoy actually doing some like Cookie Monster vocals, which I think was a little bit tongue-in-cheek in the sense. I actually remember seeing them play this live back when Mike was in the band, and as he was doing the Cookie Monster vocal part, they actually had a projection screen behind them with Cookie Monster singing. So I will give them that, but one of the best Dream Theater tracks of all time, in my opinion. And then last on the Dream Theater catalog, this is their self-titled Dream Theater record. I think this was 2013. Not my favorite by a long shot in terms of Dream Theater records, but even like the not favorites are still amazing. But the big one here is how it kicks off with the instrumental suite, the False Awakening suite, with Sleep Paralysis, Night Terrors, and Lucid Dream. A instrumental, soundtracky, string-driven orchestral bit that is just creepy, really in the best way, and I think fits this perfectly. So there's all your Dream Theater fill, 4 records, 4 songs, 1 band, whatever. Here's one I fucking love this record so much. I mean, I think for the type of music I'm into, and some of you all know this, the weird, artsy, psychedelic, proggy, just the shit that makes you go like, ugh, that's kind of freaking weird. I mean, you could argue that one of the proto, I guess, records in that way was The Crazy World of Arthur Brown. Oh, show this. Thanks, Bob Johnson. Appreciate you being here. Yeah, and of course, this kicks off with Prelude Nightmare before it goes into Fire, which was the huge song. So, yeah, Prelude Nightmare, again, it's psychedelic, it's weird. Arthur Brown is just wailing and screaming in the best way that he can. I love this fucking record, man. And it just gets me creepy. And I listen to it every Halloween, too. When October hits, that record's flying on. Let's completely change gears from one Brown to another Brown, add a little E, and maybe one of my favorite, well, definitely one of my favorite singer-songwriters of all time. And I'm going to go to The Pretender from Jackson Browne in the song Sleep's Dark and Silent Gates. Second to last track on the record on side B. It's only 2 minutes and 37 seconds, but it's actually, I mean, absolutely is one of the most beautiful 2 minutes and 37 seconds you could imagine. Just to me, Jackson being Jackson at his peak. I mean, this record is heartbreaking to begin with. Was recorded and really dedicated right after his wife had died by suicide. I mean, it's a heartbreaking record to begin with. And Sleep's Dark and Silent Gate is just one of my absolute favorite Jackson Browne tracks, and just absolutely beautiful in so many ways. How about this one? I mean, one of my favorite bands, and I'm no different in this way. A lot of people's favorite, one of their favorite bands is Pink Floyd, right? And it's interesting, there's a lot of tension in the Pink Floyd community, because in one sense you say, well, Roger Waters is kind of a dick, but like, he was the creative and artful direction of the band. And then you're like, yeah, but then you have David Gilmour, who, I mean, he's really the sound of the band, right? Like, what other guitarist could have made it work in Pink Floyd? I mean, he's the musician, while, Roger is the brains behind it. But I'm going to say, all that might be true, but I also don't think you can have Pink Floyd without the keys and the textures and the playing and the vocals of Rick Wright. And so this is Rick Wright's solo record from 1978, Wet Dream. You don't know anything about that, do you, Mark? This might be, maybe I'll do that, right? Maybe I'll rank the Pink Floyd solo catalog. I mean, there's a lot that I really love. Amused to Death might be my favorite, but I think that is also because it's more of like a sonic masterpiece that really creates such a great listening experience. But I love this record from Rick Wright. It's jazzy, it's proggy, it's sort of spacey, it's sort of psychedelic. I love his voice. I mean, a lot of you will probably know his voice mostly as singing sort of the chorus bits through Time. But this is, to me, in terms of solo records from the Pink Floyd family, this is right at the top for me. I love this record. It never saw a reissue until last year, where they did like the Steven Wilson remix. That would be great to hear, but this is an original, and I don't need that sort of reissue. So yeah, Rick Wright's Wet Dream, also up there. And then I'm doing a double shot here because it's the same band and I wanted to talk about it a little bit. Let's start, again, this is a band I love. I wish people talked about them more. We need more people talking about this for sure. But we are going to talk about the sensational Alex Harvey Band, and this record specifically, The Impossible Dream. Obviously, the name of it, Impossible Dream. You got the title track on here, Impossible Dream, which is great. But I want to talk about this record for a second because it closes out with the song Anthem, which could not be a better sort of term for the type of song it is. You get some bagpipes, you get some, different vocals, you got some big harmonies, you got all these different things going on. An absolute epic show of massive proportions. But while we're in the sensational Alex Harvey Band sort of canon, this might not be his best or their best record, but you can't argue with the Rock Drill Suite. This came out in 78, I believe. Somewhere around there. The side one is the Rock Drill Suite. We love that. Great album artwork there from that Epstein character. Epstein. It's one of those names you have to be careful with talking about these days. But then side two, you have Nightmare City. So, you got The Impossible Dream on one. A few records later, you got Nightmare City. And so we're going to talk about how much I love the sensational Alex Harvey Band. Heavy, dirty, weird, cabaret, artsy. Just amazing. So yeah, there you go. Mark, this one's for you, brother. Great thread. Always happy to support any way I can. Thanks for all the support you've given me. And hope you all enjoyed this. Let me know if you know these records or songs and anything else. Cheers, everybody. Have a great weekend. We'll see you soon. Bye.